Chapter 105. I will lose extremely terribly. Guyu Qingshu was also an orphan like Fan Yuan and Fan Zheng. His parents had died in a wolf tide when he was young. He was personally raised by clan leader Guyu Bo. After he was tested to have B-grade aptitude, he received Guyu Bo's personal guidance. His aptitude was outstanding and could be said to be at the top among the B grades. It could even be called false A grade. Guyu Bo had been raising him as a clan leader candidate. Guyu Qingshu had a warm temperament and was amicable. He was highly praised and received well by the clan members. He was also very loyal to the clan. Fan Zheng's arrival cut off his hopes of inheriting the clan leader position, but he was instead happy and wholeheartedly took care of Fan Zheng. On Earth, Yufei, 1103 AD, 1142 AD Song Dynasty Patriot and General. Wei Zheng, 580 AD, 643 AD Tang politician and historian, notorious as a critic, editor of History of the Sui Dynasty. And Bao Zheng, 999 AD, 1062 AD Northern Song official renowned for his honesty. Were people with such character. Unfortunately, in the wolf tide a year later, the northern gate would fall. To block this gap and protect the clan members, he stepped forward. In the end, he forcefully used a rank 3 Gu with his rank 2 cultivation, becoming an impenetrable fortress and successfully defending the village. However, his aperture was destroyed because of this and he finally turned into a treeman and died. Thus, Guyu Qingshu had left a profound impression on Fan Yuan. When he saw Fan Yuan sighing, Guyu Qingshu naturally didn't think that Fan Yuan was looking back on his death and thought Fan Yuan was vexed due to the liquor worm. He smiled, "Fan Yuan, you should already be clear on the limits of liquor worm. The liquor worm is only a rank 1 Gu worm and can only refine rank 1 green copper essence. But you are already a rank 2 Gu master, the liquor worm has no use towards red steel primeval essence. Although you have a wine tavern now and can easily raise the liquor worm, why would you vainly raise something that has no use to you?" He switched the thread of discussion. The liquor worm has no use to you but it is useful to other rank 1 Gu masters. Especially in the awakening ceremony next spring, there will be a new batch of students and the liquor worm will be of great help to them. So, you might as well just sell the liquor worm to the clan and contribute to clan's strength. Fan Yuan didn't reply. Qingshu pondered, guessing Fan Yuan's intention. "I understand now. You are reluctant to part with the liquor worm, you even want to fuse it. If I am not wrong, you should be thinking of going the route of the rank 2 white chrysalis, then the rank 3 mist perspiring butterfly fusion route, right? This is the most widespread and also the most practical recipe. The mist perspiring butterfly is a great Gu worm. But the white chrysalis has no ability. This fusion route wouldn't have much value to you. You have C-grade aptitude and now have rank 2 cultivation. White chrysalis doesn't have any ability and will only squander food, it will be of no help to you. What is the possibility of you reaching rank 3? Even if you succeeded in advancing to rank 3, you will probably be middle-aged by then. Will you raise the useless white chrysalis for tens of years? It will be better to use the expenses of raising white chrysalis on nurturing Gu worms. That is more practical and will be more helpful to you, am I wrong? Liquor worm's true value lies in refining primeval essence and raising a small realm. If you go through this fusion, you will only be treating the liquor worm as a material, won't that be a pity? All Gu worms had only one ability. For instance, the spring-autumn cicada was a rank 6 Gu, but it only had the ability of rebirth. The new Gu worm that comes from fusion usually took an ability from one Gu worm and enhanced it. White Jade Gu, for instance, took the defensive ability of Jade Skin Gu and enhanced it, while losing the White Boar Gu's ability to gain increased strength. That is to say, if someone obtained White Jade Gu, it would only help in defense and couldn't increase the Gu master's strength. Qingshu was correct, the liquor worm's value was in refining primeval essence and raising its stage by a small realm. To Gu masters, this was another form of increasing their primeval essence reserves while also being an enormous help in nourishing their aperture and increasing their cultivation speed. If one went through White Chrysalis, Mist Perspiring Butterfly fusion route, the resulting Gu worms won't have the ability to refine primeval essence, which would truly be a pity. In fact, Flower Wine Monk took this root and refined the mist-perspiring butterfly from the liquor worm, using it to enchant women and commit evil acts. After his death, the mist-perspiring butterfly continued to degenerate due to not having sufficient food and finally reverted back to liquor worm. Qing Shu's eyes flashed upon seeing the silent Fan Yuan and continued, "Actually, our clan has a recipe. This recipe raises liquor worm to rank 2 Moon Harbinger Gu, then the rank 3 7 Fragrances liquor worm. 7 Fragrances liquor worm has the ability to refine primeval essence. Fan Yuan, if you don't want to sell the liquor worm, then we could change it to a business transaction. You will sell the liquor worm to the clan, and if the clan can refine it to the 7 Fragrances liquor worm, you will have the right to use it for 5 years. If it fails, the clan will compensate for it. What do you think?" Doing this meant the clan will bear all the risks for the fusion. With such a superior condition, others might eagerly agree to it. But Fan Yuan only sneered coldly in his heart. He knew himself. With his 44% C-grade aptitude, advancing to rank 3 was almost impossible. In his previous life, Fan Yuan had stalled at rank 2 for over 100 years before finally and coincidentally obtaining a talent-raising Gu worm and becoming a rank 3 Gu master. 5 years of using rites sounded wonderful, but to Fan Yuan, it was like trying to catch the moon's reflection in water. Guyu Qingshu had said so because he saw Fan Yuan's ambitions to charge to rank 3, so he intentionally threw this sweet bait to lure Fan Yuan. But he had miscalculated from the start. In Fan Yuan's memories, there was the best recipe for the liquor worm fusion. First was advancing the liquor worm to rank 2 4 flavors liquor worm, then to the rank 3 7 fragrances liquor worm. Whether it was 4 flavors liquor worm or 7 fragrances liquor worm, both had the ability to refine primeval essence. However, it was not easy to refine the 4 flavors liquor worm. First of all, its fusion required 2 liquor worms. Fan Yuan only had 1 currently. Next, the fusion required 4 types of wine, and these 4 wines should be of 4 different flavors: sour, sweet, bitter, and spicy. Let's not talk about the difficulty in purchasing a liquor worm with there being hardly any supply of it in the market. Let's look at these 4 wines first. Spicy wines were the most common. Ordinary white spirit wine were all of this type. For sour wines, you could get bayberry wine and grape wines. Rice wines could fit the sweet wine criteria. But as for the bitter wines, it needed some thinking to be done. From what Fan Yuan knew, there was a type of green bitter wine which was brewed by using AI grass. Unfortunately, the AI village was immeasurably far away. How would he obtain it? Fan Yuan had detained the liquor worm not because he wanted to wait and sell it for a high price. Rather, Fan Yuan had all along wanted to go through this fusion route. Using any other fusion routes could be counted as ruining the liquor worm. How could Guyu Qingshu know what Fan Yuan had in mind? Seeing Fan Yuan not making any moves to agree at all, he threw his trump card. "Fan Yuan, if you sell the liquor worm, I can mediate between you and Fang Zheng. At least, he won't use the family assets to challenge you to a Gu battle. You also know the clan rules, the challenge must be accepted. Even if the Gu battle request is not approved by the higher UPS, it must first be accepted. Even if you are sure of your defeat and don't want to go to the arena, directly throwing in the towel, you still need to accept the challenge. This world promoted martial spirit, clans didn't need cowards. If there was a challenge, Gu masters must accept them. Accepting the challenge proves that you are not a coward. Even if you admit your defeat in front of the public, that too would be a conduct of courage. Under the oppression of the ruthless environment, this had automatically turned and formed into a system of values. The clan's higher UPS would arbitrate according to the results of the Gu battles and resolve any problems and disputes. The premise of a Gu battle was to have a reason. The challenger should be in the right and the challenge should be reasonable, or the two parties could both make an agreement similar to betting. Only then would the Gu battle be approved. Fang Zheng's Gu battle request is reasonable and fair, it will be approved. If this happens, no matter the result, whether loss or win, will be judged by the elders. Who do you think the elders will side with between you and Fang Zheng? Qingshu's smile became bigger. He looked at Fan Yuan with a burning gaze and continued to add pressure. "Fan Yuan, if you win, you will simply have to part with a tiny bit less of the family assets. But if you sell the liquor worm to the clan, you will be contributing to the clan. The clan will remember you. I can also guarantee that Fang Zheng would never challenge you on the basis of family assets. The implication was that Fang Zheng could still challenge Fang Yuan with different reasons. This was one of the things Guyu Qingshu and Guyu Bo would be happy to see. They hoped Fang Zheng would defeat Fang Yuan and break the shadow in his heart to build up his self-confidence. Fang Yuan suddenly smiled. He had been listening to Guyu Qingshu's chatters from the beginning. And now, he finally spoke. You think I will lose if we fight? Fang Yuan asked Qingshu. Qingshu also smiled. Fights are full of variations, no one can foretell what might happen. However, I need to remind you, Fang Zheng has already refined the rank 2 Moonveil Gu, you won't have much of an advantage. Ha ha ha. Fang Yuan shook his head, and the smile on his face became bigger. I will lose, I definitely lose. Qingshu stared blankly. Fang Yuan stared into his eyes and continued, not only will I lose, I will even lose very miserably. I will hand over all my parents' inheritance, and from then on I will sleep on the street and wander about begging in the village. You. Guyu Qingshu was smart, he understood Fang Yuan's true intentions. His expression became grave, no longer was it confident and graceful. Fang Yuan's words were a bare threat. Fang Zheng was being raised as the next clan leader. If it was made known that he had recognized others as his parents, used his cultivation and aptitude to bully his big brother, snatching the inheritance, then there would be a devastating damage to his reputation. Even on Earth, a person who did this would be shamed and disdained by people. Let alone in this world where the values of family love was raised to a whole new level. It wouldn't be anything if Fang Zheng wanted to become a devil. But he was going to become a clan leader, a leader of the righteous path, and that meant he needed to uphold virtue and cherish it. For a moment, Guyu Qingshu looked dazedly at Fang Yuan. He discovered that despite hearing a lot about Fang Yuan, he had still underestimated the latter. The dominance that he built up from his many sentences since the moment they met, had now crumbled with a bang. Fang Yuan hit the nail on the head, directly indicating the main part to Guyu Qingshu. If it was another person, Fang Yuan would have spoken differently. But Guyu Qingshu was someone who had extreme loyalty to the clan, and in Fang Yuan's previous life, he would rather sacrifice himself to protect the clan. Thus, he had no choice but to worry because of Fang Yuan's threat. However, he quickly calmed down, his eyes staring at Fang Yuan as he spoke between clenched teeth, but you won't do this. Because the inheritance has been your goal all along, how will you cultivate if you give up the inheritance? Fang Yuan wasn't afraid. He met Qingshu's gaze, his lips curled up in a smile. That's why I believe you will give up the notion of buying the liquor worm and also persuade Fang Zheng to not challenge me, am I wrong? Others might not be able to persuade Fang Zheng, but Guyu Qingshu had this capability. Fang Yuan had no doubt on this. The situation was in a deadlock. After a moment, Guyu Qingshu lowered his eyes. He stared at the wine cup in his hand for a while and suddenly laughed. Interesting, we will do just that. His tone carried a hint of melancholy.